Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Underexposed, man. We got a brilliant, amazing show for you guys today. Underexposed is a podcast where our photographers, our videographers, our content creators, and our models, we can come together under one roof and they can talk about their journey and how they have been treated in this industry. And maybe we can answer some questions that you guys want the perspective to. I am your host, Brandon Cole, and I have an amazing guest for you guys. Now, if you have been to probably a Sony event in the last few years, you may have seen this well-dressed, handsome young brother walking through the crowd, standing 6 feet tall with a nice old beard on him. But his camera of choice is the Sony A7 series cameras, but he also shoots Leica also. So you guys have to go and check out his work. He also has a podcast, says My World from My Living Room, that is entering his second season. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this man does work with a lot of brands. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys Mr. Chaz Langley.
Brooklyn holds some of the most amazing street photography in the world. But capturing a street portrait is a whole other game. One afternoon, I stepped out with my Leica Q, as well as my new boots from Salvis. I only went a few stops away from where I live, but I ran into this gentleman that I will not soon forget. He had a timeless quality that was reminiscent of one of my recent visits to Mexico City. What began as a scowl quickly turned into a smile after using what little Spanish I knew. Another priceless moment.
Oh, man. What an intro, man. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you feeling, my brother? How are you feeling today?
Man, I'm just living the dream up here in New York City, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That is amazing, man. New York, brother, the home of dreams, man. That place
man.
is whoo.
Yeah,
I came up there. I don't know what I ain't know what to expect when I came up to New York, man. It's everything that everybody thinks about it. So that's the only thing I can really say. It is definitely the city that doesn't sleep.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah, man. Yeah, man. Exactly. Exactly, bro. So, I definitely want to go ahead and jump into this, man. First, I want to say congratulations on everything that you have been doing, man. You have been tearing it up in the streets of New York. I follow a lot of your work, man. The things that you do are just simply amazing, man. And the way you capture just street living and the things that they do in New York, man, is just absolutely amazing. So I definitely wanted to talk about some of those things. I wanted to get your feedback on some things about living in that high stakes area, living in New York, and see what our viewers. So first question is, what made you start in photography? I know that your niche is kind of like street photography and some things that you do. So I want you to tell us a little bit about your style of photography and what really made you get into photography.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on your show. And man, thank you for the kind words. I mean, you never know who's watching from afar. So it's great to be able to know that, that I'm visible and I'm making somewhat of an impact outside of New York, because, when you're here, everything is like right here, so you really don't get to see what's outside of it unless, social media wise, you're getting different people from all over the world, essentially kind of checking in on you. But as far as New York, man, it is a beast, for sure. And one thing that, I moved here from Nashville 16 years ago.
Okay.
So I grew up in Virginia Beach. I think we talked about that. But moving here from Nashville, Tennessee, probably about, 16 years ago, like I said, moved here as a singer. So, the whole storytelling and that's sort of my aesthetic when it comes down to telling the story of New York kind of derives from songwriting. So I'm a singer-songwriter first, and then the photography kind of came later. So, yeah, that was, coming up here with not, photography wasn't even in my mind. It was about singing for different artists. It was singing jingles for commercials. It was that side of life. So I never really saw, photography as a thing until I started getting out more. And a couple of years have gone by, and I'm starting to see Fashion Week, and I'm starting to see, different magazines and things like that. And so I'm like, oh man, I kind of like this. And I love to see, parents with their kids. I love seeing that sort of aesthetic because being a father myself, it really, really behooved me not to capture some of those moments. And especially being a Black dad, that narrative about us not being around, I definitely wanted to definitely wanted to
Facts.
depict us in the best light possible. So
Hmm.
I think, my son essentially kind of helped inspire this whole photography beast,
Right,
as
right.
well as the city. But
Yo, so that's crazy that you mentioned that, man. I want to go back just a little bit. So, talking about New York, you're talking about one of the you're talking about basically the fashion capital of basically the world. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
So being in, like, when I came to New York, it's like a photographer's playground. You have the
Mm.
graffiti, you
Oh
have
yeah,
just so many amazing places to shoot around New York. Like, it
absolutely.
was amazing being there. I said, God, I just don't want to leave. I mean, you got the subway, you got the graffiti, you got all these places. And the crazy thing is the cops really don't bother you. It's like they just see it every day. They don't care. They whatever. So
No.
being in that limelight, being around, and there's a lot of modeling agencies up there. There's a lot of magazine headquarters up there. There Fashion Week.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
this is the hub where photographers, this is the dream to be in there, to be
absolutely.
there. So and that's what I want to know. So tell me, what is like living in New York and just being around just that atmosphere, like where photographers dream to go. Like, if you want a career in photography, California or New York, basically
Right,
everybody knows that.
right,
But being in New York and you live in New York, like how, like, what is that like Fashion Week and runway, like every week,
right.
and like it's just crazy.
Man, so to back up a little bit on my story before I got into photography, I was actually a subject at Fashion Week a few times. So
Ooh.
I had actually gone to different shows, and me
Okay.
and my girlfriend at the time, we had gone out to different shows. But what happens in New York, you get a lot of the photographers that do a lot of the, from my distance, I saw it as like paparazzi, right? That they come out like, hey, you look good. Hey, take a, I'm gonna get a picture, fashion picture, this, that, and the third. And I was like, oh, that was cool. I got shot by someone who shoots photography. But I just thought it was just a way of life, right? But one of my first influences was a friend of mine named Mange. He actually goes by
Okay.
Key Style on Instagram, and he's a street fashion photographer. And so he was the first one that really shot me and really saw me as a fashion figure in like the thread
Hmm.
of New York City. So essentially, when I started getting interested in it, in photography, when my son was born, I was like, man, you have a daughter, you're a family man as well, and you're juggling this whole family man thing with photography.
Hmm.
Show me the ropes. So he kind of showed me the
Right.
ropes a little bit, and I got interested, right? So I started going to Fashion Week, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to get my camera, and go out to these fashion weeks and see what everything's all about. And then I run into him, and then I started over time just taking my camera everywhere. So when Fashion Week came up, it was easier for me to already know my settings, everything. So if I see somebody within a moment's notice, I can be like, bam, just pull my camera out and shoot. You
There
know
it
what I
is.
mean?
Exactly.
So I just started learning the craft and started kind of seeing and noticing kind of like third person and indirectly through other photographers. And then I started sculpting and crafting my own vibe, my own style.
Hmm.
So essentially, I kind of incorporated my personal style with the photography thing. So then I became a visual fixture as well as like, you know, pretty good photographer out in those scenes. So now you take a, photograph of a, of a celebrity or someone like that, and you take a photo of them enough, they look for your lens, which is really, really cool. Cause then they know that you're going to put them in the best light. So, but over time, Fashion Week, I kind of dabble in it every now and again. I may go to one season a year now, because when you get here, you're excited about the rush of being able to capture people. But then over time, you're starting to feel the rhythm, and you're just like, okay, I see what this is all about. But
Facts.
yeah,
Facts. And you guys always have for celebrities up there eating that. Like I was up there when we was doing our Sony event, and I mean, there are celebrities that go in and out of these restaurants and paparazzi everywhere all the time. I'm just like, man, like just living in this type of atmosphere. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, man, but it's just crazy, man. The amount of attention that places get. I mean, it's like everybody is on top of each. That's the only thing I didn't like about it, is everybody was on top of each other. But just the being in that atmosphere, like getting discovered, like if your work is amazing, like
oh, you in there.
You in there, man. You are in there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's a good point, man. So on top of that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that kind of leads me to my next question. You're such an approachable person, man, and I've dealt with a lot of photographers. I've trained a lot of photographers. But I know one of the biggest things that a lot of photographers lack, especially when they're working with models or, they're doing something, is that confidence. You talk and you walk. I've seen your Instagram. I've seen your videos. You talk and you walk the streets of New York, and you just go out with your camera around your neck, looking nice and dapper, and you're just out there just telling the story, just taking pictures. I've seen you go up to people and actually just talk to them, take their pictures, and just the lifestyle shots that you be getting. But the type of confidence that you exude, like when you go up, like you can walk down the street, you don't have a problem with talking to people and taking their photos or telling the story of New York. So what is it how were you able to develop that type of confidence? Is it a New York thing, or is that something because I know New York people are a little aggressive, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's just in the blood or not.
Man, I tell you what, man, it's that old adage of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Okay.
Is it your personality that allows you to be that type of photographer now that you're a photographer? Or is it that the environment of New York evokes that type of emotion, that sort of thing? For me, I would say I'm always like this. So this is essentially like a carryover to my photography, because everybody is human. Everybody, bleeds blood, everybody puts their leg on, puts their pants on one leg at a time. And so for me, if I know I'm coming with good intentions, then it's not hard for me to approach someone, especially when it comes down to complimenting someone's outfit and that I want to capture and just kind of get to know them. There's been so many opportunities and moments that have happened with the spontaneous way of navigating through the city that's just been eye-opening. Like I never thought that approaching a total stranger would absolutely make their day. And to see that happens, it's almost like approaching a girl in a club, right? You're like, you say that one line, once, and it may get you lucky, right?
Right.
So you want to use that line until the wheels fall off, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
But it's not
I'm taking notes.
It's not one line though, right? It's the mindset of the approach, right? So recently I had a video that went viral, which has been like blowing up and it's been crazy. But that particular situation was more so from a voyeuristic space. And then later it opened up to where I got to know the people who I photographed. And it was on a subway, right? And when they found out that it was me, they were like, oh my gosh, my friend told me about your video because they saw us on there. And this video is going, spreading like wildfire. Eventually, the person who I photographed, it was her and her boyfriend. She reached out to me and was like, we saw the photo that you took. And see, when you get a DM like that, you kind of wonder like, where is this going? Because some people, for every success, there are failures around the corner too. There's a lot of no's as well. So this could have gone one or two ways. It could have been, this is an amazing moment. I'm so glad you captured us. Or how dare you take our photograph? We didn't give you permission. So there's always that great debate with street photography, and it's a delicate balance. But like I said, going back to my approach and my intentions, I'm I think that really is the thing that allows me to have a high success rate when it comes to approaching people. And, you know, if I want to compliment someone's outfit, it starts with a compliment and a smile. What's more disarming than that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. You gotta have that confidence is just super important in our line of work. You know what I'm saying? You can't really, not saying that you can't be a photographer without confidence, but it's very, very difficult to be a creative director.
Yeah.
And to capture and to create and to navigate the area of what we do if you don't have the confidence to actually do it, you know. So that's extremely important. And like I said, I've seen you out there and just talk and laughing and, you know, just walking those streets, man. And it's just absolutely amazing what you do, man. So I definitely applaud you to having it. Cause like I said, New York is it's a rough place, man. You know, everybody don't like it when you approach them. Everybody don't like it when you approach them on the corner, man. They be like, hey. Like I've seen the way New York people get down, man. But all in all, man, I absolutely love it. I love the people up there, man. Some amazing, but they stick together when stuff is crazy. So that's definitely crazy, man. So
now let me ask you, can I ask you a question real quick? I know this is probably off the script, but
no, bring it. Let's go.
Because I've seen your work, right? So let me just turn the tables on you. I've seen your work, and I've seen some of the people you photograph. And these people, mostly women, might I add, are absolutely gorgeous. Right? So what is your approach? Talk about confidence. You got to have confidence to talk to someone, to pretty much not have a lot of clothes on sometimes, you know, and they're beautiful, and you're a photographer. Like, tell me how that works for you when it comes to the ask and you know, finding these models and making them comfortable behind your lens and in front of your lens.
That's a good question. I think with something like that, the first thing I think it is, you have to have the work. You have to have the work and the knowledge in order to do what we do. All right. That's just plain and simple. So when I approach somebody, first thing as models, just like photographers, the first thing they're going to do is look at your work and see how good you are and if you actually know what you're doing. Because if you're asking them to shoot a certain way, or to shoot a top with no bra on, or to a bralette, or, you know, lingerie, or just a shot period, they probably don't mind doing it, but they got to see if you actually know what you're doing also. So the first thing about what we do is, you need to, before you actually start approaching people and start, you know, asking people for, you know, what you want, you got to make sure you know what you're doing first of all, because you don't want to waste anybody's time in anything. So the first thing is having the confidence, making sure you have the work, the knowledge, the know-how in what you're doing. So once I actually establish, like, okay, I have a good idea about, you know, natural light, flash, posing, all of these things. So after a while, it really kind of just started coming to me, and everybody was just wanting to shoot. So when I am looking for a particular model, I would definitely approach models, you know, and ask them about, you know, shooting and everything. And then once they actually see my work, because when I approach them, I don't just send them like my Instagram. I'm just say, hey, I'm a professional photographer here. This is what I do. Please feel free to check out my Instagram work. Here's my website. But by the way, I also have a YouTube channel that has over about 300 photo shoots on it that you can see me working with other models. So once they actually check all of that, and then they go to my channel and check all the work that I've done, they be like, oh God, I got to work with you. You know, so that helps that whole scenario about trying to approach somebody. And I know that I can, because you have to make sure you have your ducks in a row first.
Absolutely.
So once you have those ducks in a row, then approaching models and actually working with them. And then once you work with them, they have the confidence in you when you're actually start shooting with them. It's fair, especially when it comes to posing, when it comes to expression, when it comes to character, because I'm very meticulous. When it comes to shooting, I'm very methodical, and I will tell my models in a heartbeat. Like, I've stopped several photo shoots, and I'll be like, hey, look, this ain't that. Like, no, I don't know what that pose was or what that expression, but no, that's not it. Or they don't put enough into the pose. Like instead, yeah, they might pose like this, but I don't want you to pose like this. I want you to pose like this. Give me a little bit more. So I've had to train a lot of models when it comes to things like that. But that just comes with experience. It comes with knowledge. It comes with understanding. It comes with looking at people that have gone before you. I look at even models that have been in the industry for a while, like Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, and just the energy and the, how they pose, and how, Nigel Barker and a lot of them work with their models, and how they demand the attitude and the character from their models. Otherwise it's like, no, like they stop the whole thing. Like, look, and it's absolutely amazing. So I've kind of just tailored that to my and what I do as a photographer. You can't be scared to tell a model like she's messed up. You can't be scared. You can't. And also, not only that, you can't be so taken back by how they look, or she might be just beautiful, or you're just trying to just shoot and you're just letting them, okay, yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's cool. Go ahead. No, absolutely not. That's not cute. You need to pose her. You need to create. You need to direct. Because a model she's a canvas, but she can't see your vision. She can't see what's behind her. She can't see what's on the sides of her. She can't see if a pole is sticking up the back of her head, because that's your job as the photographer and as the director to pose them to get the shot that you want. So you just have to have that confidence. You got to have that experience, that know-how. You got to take control. And that's what it's about. You got to take control. Otherwise, it'll just get away from you.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
I mean, we're cut from the same cloth in that regards, right? Because we're both essentially working with strangers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We're trying to get the best out of them within a fleeting moment, whether it be working for you or me just finding a stranger. I have one or two ways that I don't fall back on this idea and this notion that, oh, well, they'll never see me again anyway, so I may as well shoot my shot. Nah. You're in a small, you're in a small market where everybody knows each other, to where, if you do one person bad, like it's going to spoil the whole situation.
Exactly.
Whereas for me, I could catch a random person that's here from another country, one day, and they will never have my contact information. They will never know how to reach me or anything like that. So you have a bigger risk as it relates to your confidence level and your knowledge, because you're now working with people versus taking candid. So, but there are a lot of similarities in this as it relates to if the foundation being us having confidence to get people
absolutely
captured in their best version of themselves.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, going to my next question, man, I had another question about this, man. With your lifestyle, your lifestyle shots in your street photography and the things that you do, was there a specific person or somebody that you follow that you wanted to basically mirror your work after? Is there somebody that you look up to when it comes to the type of shooting or the type of shots that you get?
I can't say aesthetically that there's anybody's work that I look at and kind of go, oh man, I love their lighting. I love their edit. I love their this. I think for me, I think it came down to a collection of some of, people that I've either respected or I've heard of that are masters at their craft. And then I kind of take amalgamation of all those different pieces and elements, and then I just kind of create it myself. I kind of throw the rest out, right? So for me, if I learn to make sure all of my settings are right, I may get that from a number of different people and formulate my own way of getting my shots, technically, right? So someone may be total, aperture priority. Someone may be, more people are like more technical than I am. I shoot from the heart, right? I may see it with my eyes, but I shoot from here. So no one I can model behind that, because no one has the same shared experiences that I have. So I've essentially learned the craft And then I just kind of, whatever appeals to me. Some people wonder why I take a shot at various things because it's not logical to them, because they're not shooting from here, they're shooting from here. So for me, the way I shoot is purely inspirational to what I want to capture. Even when it comes down to working with brands, that's why, that helps me when people reach out to me, because they're like, we like the way you see things. We like the way, you evoke an emotion. We like your edits, we like your colors, like whatever that is. But there's something that I do and it changes all the time. So I can't even really say like, I could harken back to maybe, as far as street photographers and me kind of digging into history, Henri Cartier-Bresson. He's a world famous street photographer. And he has done some of the most timeless work out there. And I think a lot of people have seen it. It's in black and white. But he has this book called The Decisive Moment, where essentially he has a book of all of his work in various capacities. And, even from like puddle photography to just spontaneous city life. And I'm like, okay, it's enough to let me know that the medium exists, that it's okay to do it. So I can't say that, oh my God, I saw the way he shot this one photo, so let me go out and try to shoot like that. Because that's why we're artists. We're artists because we come from a place internally that we're allowed to express outwardly. So when it comes down to the way I shoot, I tried, just like even when I started my podcast, I didn't look at a lot of podcasts. People are like, oh, who are you listening to if you're going to start one yourself? I'm like, I don't. Because I want to make, because I want to do things my way. Because at the end of the day and at the end of my life, you can only harken back to the things that I did. And I want to be as authentic and as true to myself as possible. So that's why I chose photography in the first place. But living in New York City, the whole city is inspiring. So you can't help but, just capture everything.
Man, that I like the way you put that too. The whole city is inspiring. That's exactly right, man, because there's just so much going on up there versus like a lot of other places where a lot of people are. Like you wake up in New York, man, and there's so many things that you can shoot, and there's so many things that can inspire you on a daily basis, man. Absolutely. It's just amazing. You can get on the subway train and you easily get inspired about people dancing, people just doing things in the subway. Like I was blown away when I came up there. I was like, wow, like it's just insane the amount of stuff that goes on up there, man. So definitely, man. But yeah, I'm glad you talked about passion, which brings me to my next thing about you. I understand you have a passion definitely for, what you capture and what you do in your photography, but I also understand that you have an inkling or a passion for lighting and everything when it comes to like either flash and stuff like that. Now I know you don't use a lot of flash and stuff like that, but I know you talked about getting into flash and all those things. So my question to you is, for what you do, but you want to venture off into this other area of photography, because incorporating flash and this type of lighting or artificial lighting into what you do is a big thing. It's really big. It's a whole other field and ballpark. So my question to you is, do you feel like photographers should learn or should be learning flash photography? Because there's some people who will just be like, I'm just natural light, I'm not messing with flash, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So getting your perspective on this is great, because you are ultimately like a natural light photographer, but you see what we do with flash, and that's something that you want to incorporate also. So why is that important, or why isn't it?
Well, I believe every photographer has their own method and their own way of shooting that they're the masters of. Like, for example, as you mentioned, I love natural light. Like I love when the sun is just right, or I love getting a natural, a natural fall off of the light. And, you really get that, the Rembrandt sort of lighting. And when it comes to portraits and stuff, But I do also understand the aspect of shaping light. And that's another thing that I enjoy doing, but I do that by way of, reflectors and things of that nature. But when the sun goes down, I'm like, I'm like a vampire.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, so how do I tame this light? So for me personally, because my aesthetic and the way I shoot is from here, I try to take as much as this out of it as possible. Now that's
Okay.
just my method, but I also understand it takes a lot of that to be able to shape your light and really get to create those things. You got to set meters, you got to do a lot of that
Yes.
stuff to get to the heart of the photo. And then you have to fabricate it on some level. But when it comes to commercial, when it comes to a lot of things out there that makes you money, I know that I need to learn it.
Dive into that also. That's next. But yeah,
So,
go ahead. Yeah.
so I mean, to answer your question more directly, it's not that I want to go into flash or lighting per se. Is that I need to understand it so I'm well rounded. Because I think that helps me, because the more that I do it, then it becomes automatic. Then it starts to come into my aesthetic, which is from the heart. Because if I can throw the knowledge part out of the way and get to the inspiration, that's my best way of shooting, because that's the way I shoot. That's what makes me
Right.
successful. That's what allows someone to understand what my work looks like versus someone else's, So I can't say that I would necessarily go into lighting, but I definitely want to understand it a little bit more so that I can be, well versed as a photographer.
Got you. And that's where I was going with that also, when you were talking about lighting and incorporating flash and what you do every day. And the reason for that is because when I look at it from a business standpoint of view, and when I talk to people about photography and what exactly do you want to do with photography? Like, what is your ultimate end goal? And I want to be a really big photographer. I want to do this and do that. I was like, but you're a natural light photographer. Like, there's a lot of clients that are going to approach you. When you put yourself out there as a photographer, you might get people who want certain shots. You might get some people who want to do their shots at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Maybe there's a wedding proposal, or maybe there is some other areas or aspects of photography. And if you are not knowledgeable and well versed in those areas, then you're basically just leaving money on the table because you can't shoot it.
Right.
And I never wanted to be the photographer that could not do any type of shot. It don't matter if I got to use LED, flash, natural light, studio, on location, daytime, nighttime. It don't matter. I can shoot it.
Yes.
But having that knowledge in order to accomplish those type of things is extremely, extremely important, especially if that's something that if you feel like if you want to take your photography to the next level, you have to learn lighting and you have to learn flash.
Right.
So that is extremely important for the business mind. It's important for making money, because what are you going to tell a client that approaches you? Hey, you're a photographer? Yeah. Hey, you know what? I want to do something with my girl, whatever, but we got these lights and da 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 da. You're going to be like, oh, well, I can't. You got to find another photographer because I don't know how to do that.
Right.
I'm not about to give somebody else that money. Yeah, absolutely not. What?
Right.
Come on, man. Absolutely not.
I must say, for now, it's more baby steps for me. So I use continuous lighting.
Yes.
Where I got the hair light, I got the key light, I got all the major lighting. And also because I'm shooting, video stuff as well, it's good for me to have the continuous lighting for the way I shoot and what I shoot. So, so I guess it's one of those things where if it's not in your realm of life, you kind of miss it and you don't know you need it until you need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously, when you're the way you shoot, and I've seen your stuff, I'm just like, that's why you need it. Like, it's insane. Your work is amazing. And to see, what you get from the lighting, and also your personal lighting, which congratulations, your own brand, which
Absolutely.
is amazing.
Yes.
To know that it's that important to you, to know that I'm like, I got to make my own. Maybe what's out there
Yeah.
is not suiting me or serving me. So I want to create
Mm-hmm.
my own. So for you to be able to create that lets me know that you're very, very serious about the craft and you understand what you're doing. So, at the end of the day, teach his own, I guess. I just keep doing me, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good thing, and I'm glad you said that. Which also just is like another segue into the question that I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about versatility. And the thing that we do as photographers, in my opinion, because I'm just talking about me, but in my opinion, that being a versatile photographer is critical and
Right,
it's crucial in what we do. And when I say versatile, I mean just a student of the game,
right,
being able to do all in all, and they talk about the jack of all trades, but a master at none is better than whatever.
right, right,
But
right.
uh
Yes,
it's
there is more to
highly,
that statement.
yeah, it is. But being versatile is is crucial. But then you also have some people who feel like they don't need to be versatile, that not necessarily saying that they're stuck in their ways, but hey, this is me, this is what I like to do, I'm not
Right.
worried about all that other stuff, and then they wonder why they're not that they're not progressing, or they're not reaching the next level, or they're not out there like they should be, like they feel like they should be. And I tell them, well, because you're not, there's no versatility in what you do. It don't
Right.
matter if you shoot males, females,
Mm-hmm.
kids, weddings, events. It don't matter if you shoot models,
Mm-hmm.
daytime, nighttime. It don't matter if you do flash, natural light. Like, versatility is extremely important. So for somebody like you, how do you feel like photographers need to be versatile in what we do, or do you feel like people can get ahead with just one style and not even having that knowledge of, the all the other areas that are under the umbrella
Mm.
of photography?
Well, I think it once again comes down to what you're getting paid for. What's your niche? What comes the
Facts.
most natural to you? Why do people come to you as a photographer versus someone else?
Okay.
And if that thing that people come to you for is abundant, then you really don't find many reasons or ways to go outside of
To
that.
go outside.
That's your
Okay.
bread and butter, right? So why would you
Right.
abandon that just for a few extra dollars of something that you can be average at when you can get paid to be the master of it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there are a couple of schools of thoughts on that. So, when it comes down to, what people hire me for, they see that I'm a photographer first.
All
They
right.
don't see that I'm a flash photographer or a natural light photographer. They don't categorize me that way. They see the images and what they evoke to them. And then
Mm-hmm.
they hire me based on that. Now, if I need the extra technical things, like extra lighting, if it's a nighttime shoot, excuse me, anything of that nature, then I may enlist the help of someone who's the master of that, and I'll bring them on to the project.
Right.
And I'll
Okay.
I'll be the creative director and the photographer, and then have all the foot soldiers in place to help that situation, because usually there's a budget that goes along with that. So
Correct.
I'm able
Correct.
to, everybody gets to eat. So yeah, there's ways to get around it, but I think, I believe that if you're the master of what you do, like, be the master of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's what's making you money, if we're talking about money specifically, then you want to dance with the girl that got you there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just my personal opinion about it. But like I said,
Absolutely.
dude, you are killing it down there. So you have no
I'm,
problems with
I'm
any
doing.
type of
I'm.
lighting situation. So but yeah, man. But yeah, that's just my thought about it.
Yeah. There was. And like I said, there's. I mean, it's not about me, but the when I was coming up, I was one particular photographer that I kind of saw, and I saw their work, but when I saw this guy shooting, he was he was amazing at flash. I loved his flash photography
Mm.
out on location. It don't matter whether he was on a beach or water was falling and he was shooting dresses and weddings and all of
Okay.
these things, and really, really good at outside photography. But at the same time, he was doing stuff in the studio. He would jump into oceans and pools, fully clothed, just
Yeah.
getting shot with just an
I've seen you do that
LED
too.
in the camera. Yeah, absolutely. And the reason for that is because I've seen this dude work with all different type of skin tones, genders. I've seen this dude shoot, go in location, out of location, edit his own. Like he does everything. And one day, when I first started years and years ago, I said, I want, not necessarily I want to mimic my work and make it look like his, but I want to be that photographer. I want to
Right.
be that one-stop shop, whether I edit my own, learn how to edit my own pictures, learn how to take the pictures, whether, like I said, any time of day, whatever I'm shooting, whether it be natural light or flash or LED or studio or on location or whatever, I want to be able to be I want to master them all.
Right.
And that's just
Right.
that's the mentality, because I never wanted somebody to come to me and say, hey, I got an event, or I got a wedding, or I got a maternity or a newborn, or I got a model, or I got a portfolio that I need to put together, or hey, I want to do a sunrise shoot at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, or it's
Right.
10 or 11 o'clock at night, or 1 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? I don't care. But the moral of the story is I wanted to be that person to where I could do it anywhere, any time of day. It don't matter what it is. And I know the tools and everything that I needed to get that job done. And
Right.
that's just how and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to master everything,
Yeah.
Um,
Don't
so
wanna leave
that's
nobody
why
on
I
that
asked
bone.
you. That's why I asked you about that versatility. That's why I feel like it's important, especially if you're making this into a business.
Sure.
And if you, for long term and longevity,
Mm-hmm.
definitely having that knowledge in order to expand
Absolutely.
and get your stuff out there some more. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah, man, that's important, man. And lastly, man, I also wanted to ask you about some other things about being in New York. Now, you are originally from VA,
Yes.
right? You're from, which is where we are right now. Like, give it up for
Absolutely.
VA. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What made you move to New York? Like, after all this, why New York? Like, the cost of living is high up there, and it's expensive, and like,
Well,
why did you choose New York?
well, I didn't look at the expense of it being a deterrent, because I believe that my skill set and my appetite to be the best version of myself far more outweighed the expense here. So when you come into a situation, just like going back to when we were approaching models or just strangers in the street, I approach New York the same way. If I came to New York with the mindset that this place is expensive, I need to do X, Y, and Z to be able to make it here, then my intentions aren't to really live in New York, right?
Okay.
It's to survive New York.
No, exactly.
I came here to
Facts.
thrive. So,
Exactly.
when I moved here, when I decided to move here, I made the decision that, because a lot of people want to come to New York or go to LA or go to these big cities, but New York
Yes.
specifically, to be like, yo, I want to go to New York and get a bite out of the apple. I heard that it's, this, that, and the third, and it could have so many things for me.
Yes.
Well, I came to
Opportunities.
New York wanting to plant seeds.
Okay.
So my intentions, just like approaching someone in the street or just like you giving direction to a model, my intention is to add value, is to bring
Okay.
what I've amassed as a person, as a creative, as a photographer, as a singer to New York in hopes to be a part of its fabric. So, when you don't do something based on the emotion, especially the negative emotion of it, then you are much more successful, because you're not thinking about, you know, something that could happen. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I don't think that way. I think about everything that I can contribute. I can contribute by walking up and down the street, talking to somebody, giving a good word, taking a photograph that makes their day, whatever it may be. And then also, I have my family here. I met my wife here, so
Hey.
I didn't know that that would be a part of the equation, but that was just a bonus of me living the way that I live, you know?
Okay.
So, a lot of people, I lived in Nashville for 10 years, as I mentioned before, and I've seen a lot of people come and go from major cities that they thought that they were going to go and be somebody and become this, that, or the third. And they're back in Nashville, in 6 months because the place that they sought to go to chewed them up and spit them out. Because I think their intentions weren't aligned with where they really needed to go or wanted to go or get out of that experience. So people thought that, oh, I'm gonna go to New York and I'm gonna get this, and it's gonna feed me.
Exactly.
I mean, New York's gonna be New York whether you're here or not. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. It's gonna be New York whether you're here or not. So you may as well go in with the mindset of what you can contribute to the city versus what you can get back from it. So I think that really kind of aids in, me being here in New York. And to be honest with you, obviously it was a little rough at first. I had my, trying times when I first moved here. I lived upstairs from like a lounge and it was loud at night and it was
loud
mice and it was all this it was just your typical New York thing, right? It was your typical New York thing. But I knew once again, my talent and my intentions were much more than my worry for how much it costs to be here.
Gotcha.
So, it started off meager. Don't get it twisted. I mean, if I could share a story real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So when I first moved here, and I stayed on my cousin's couch for like 3 months until I was able to get represented as a singer. But when I found my place, I was, man, my grandmother, when she was alive, she would tell me, she was like, well, baby, and I know you ain't got much money, so you may need to eat, you may need to have that oatmeal two squares a day, where it's sweet, sweet in the morning and salty at night. So it's like, pinch them pennies and eat what you can, So, I started off with very meager beginnings, just as most New Yorkers, that move here.
Right.
But over time, when I got my first break, it was a singing opportunity that I got a national commercial with, which that's what my main income and my main job, my main career is singing on jingles and singing background vocals and singing over at 30 Rock over at Fallon. So, but man, before that, I came back home to Virginia a few times just to get a hug. Cause it was hard. It was hard.
I don't know if I can do this.
Cause my family ain't got it like that. So, my mom, it ain't like I'm coming home to get some money. Other people may be able to do that. Oh yeah, I'm going home and get some money and and float me for a while. No.
Right.
I had to figure this out myself. So I went home one time. I'll never forget it. I was like, Ma, yeah, it's a little hard. I didn't want to tell her too much, that how bad it was because I didn't want her to worry because she was already worried. She was like, you better come on home and get a government job. It's nice and safe. I'm like, nah, that won't be me. That won't be me. I'm gonna figure this thing out. So I went in for a commercial, and what was crazy, I just opened a checking account. A few months passed, and I'm working at this little Russian spot that I'm singing at on the weekends. Crazy long story. That's another thing. Follow my podcast to find out that story. But what's crazy is that I had my first commercial. I didn't know that it was going to land as far as being a national commercial. It was for Miracle Grow plant food. I'll never forget it. And I told my mom, like, I'm coming home for like a week just to get some homegrown love, some real food, and also just like, like I said, that hug. And after I got finished from that vacation, I'm coming back to what I left. So it wasn't like things got better.
Right.
So I thought. So I get back home, I check my mail. I get made to the order of, and you know what those are. I got a check, man. I
Paid to the order
didn't
of.
know that I landed my first jingle, and it was a national spot. My voice everywhere, promoting Miracle Grow plant food.
Wow.
Guess what song it was?
What's that?
It was a song by Hot Chocolate called "I Believe in Miracles."
Wow. Facts.
Can't make it up, man. Yo, it was. I cried like a baby, dude. I cried because I literally had $14 in my checking account.
Blessings, man.
That
That's
check
dope,
was
man.
for over $6,000.
That's my goodness, man.
Woo.
That's a blessing, man.
Man, it was, man.
Congratulations on that.
That literally launched my plan of attack as it related to sustaining that. I knew that I needed to be prepared one way or the other. So with that big lump sum of money, which I'd never seen that much in my account ever in my whole entire life,
Right.
I bought my studio.
Hey.
So that if a client calls me,
yes,
I ain't got to go in the studio. I could do it from home.
Homegrown.
And guess where it really served me the most in my whole entire singing career? During the pandemic.
Yeah. Take
I bought
advantage.
my studio when I had nothing. I did not know. Just like Noah and the ark. No one knew it was going to rain. But I've been building that boat for years, dude.
Gotta believe. I love it, man.
I
love it, man. And I'm gonna go ahead and get you out of here, man. But I had one more question for you, man, and I wanted to dive into this just a little bit because I know this is not necessarily a touchy subject, but I do know a lot of photographers deal with this, man. And I know you are I know you're married, man, and you have your queen and everything. But I get a lot of questions about guys who are in relationships and have wives and things, and they want to go out here and they like shooting models and doing a lot of different things, and not having the support of their partner because or they feel some type of way when you're out conducting your photo shoots or shooting with other women. So from you being a married man, from you being a photographer, there's so many things with this. Like some women be like, okay, yeah, you can shoot them, but they got to be fully clothed, or hey, I got to be at the photo shoot, or hey, there's all kind of like parameters, couples set, whatever. So with you, I just want to know, like, not necessarily the arrangement that you and your wife have, but when it comes to you shooting models, has that been an issue? How do you deal with those type of things?
Wow, that question has never come across my desk throughout the whole life of me being a photographer and being in relationships.
That's good. Then shoot.
But hold on now. That I'm thinking about that. But when it comes down to photographing, I shoot every day, so I run into beautiful people every day. And on the weekends, I'm an MC and a host at a high-end Russian restaurant where there's beautiful women everywhere. I think for me, I'm a little bit different because I see, beautiful women as part of the tapestry of what makes New York. Or if I happen to see you on a Friday and Saturday, you better look good because that's the time to do it. The rest of the week, you probably don't look like that. But when it comes to working and being able to set my wife's mind at ease, I think at the end of the day, there's got to be a foundation set. If you met somebody out in the streets and you know that you may have been a choice of one or two women when you started a relationship, that's always going to be looming in the back of their mind. So when you go out to shoot a beautiful woman, obviously the mind is going to go crazy, right? But for me, I think what I help to mitigate that is just really being upfront. My wife has even been on shoots with me because she's a hairstylist.
Absolutely.
She's a hairstylist. So it's
make her a part of the journey.
Yeah, part of the journey, right? And a beautiful woman, whether I'm looking or not, there's nothing that's ever disrespectful, because she understands what a good looking person is. We sit and watch trash TV where we're talking about women's anatomies at times, and we're talking about what's beautiful and what's not. And I think also choosing the right person that you can be that open with is important as well. So when it comes to these photo shoots, there's an understanding when you leave the door, or because she's my wife, she understands the assignment and knows what's up. She makes sure that I'm fully provided for before I leave.
Got you.
If you feel me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
of course.
There's never anything that would ever put the relationship or anything in jeopardy. It's just a matter of understanding and communication. Be like, oh, babe, this gorgeous girl hit me up. I think she's with this agency or whoever, this, that, and the third. I'm going to go shoot her. Cool. Great.
Gotcha.
But that's just my situation. I can't speak for everybody. But I think the foundation overall should be open communication. Now, if you skeeving and you doing DMs and be like, you shiesty around your girl, that's the kind of stuff that's going to get you in trouble because you're setting a negative foundation.
Yeah.
You're planting negative seeds. So
Got you. Yeah,
I just don't,
very
I try, I do my best. I don't even have to do my best. I do my best, obviously, to not engage in any sort of stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to trust and open communication.
I just think that, I think you're doing an amazing job, man. I tell you what, I love seeing the pictures of you just walking down. Somebody takes pictures of you and I just see the style and the images that you be having of yourself. I'd be like, man, look at this dude's, his fashion senses is crazy. I saw one where you had like, it wasn't rainbow, but it was like red, green, white, but there was a scarf you had. You know what I'm saying? With something and you was in the middle of the street. I was like, man, that dude got the swag of a champion, boy. Look at him. But man, you be looking good up there, man, in them streets, man. And like always, man, be safe up in New York, man.
Absolutely.
And man, I wanted to say thank you for joining me, man. I wanted to give you a few seconds to put out there anything that you have going on with you. I know your podcast is popping right now, about to hit up in the second season, and you got other stuff going on. So yeah, about 15, 20 seconds, man. Tell the people what you got going on, man, and what they can expect from you and how they can follow you.
Right. Absolutely. So find me on social media at Langley's Eye. That's LANGLEYSEYE. As Brandon mentioned, I have my podcast, My World from My Living Room, where I actually host and have different array of people who are coming to have conversations with me on the couch here. Everybody from models to influencers to business owners to producers to actors, everybody in between, which also fits within my ethos of my podcast, which is balancing creativity with parenthood, but not necessarily parenthood, as well as following your dreams too. And, just kind of giving my insight and my perspective from my experiences. So it's been going really well. I'm really excited about it. The launch is March 18th of my second season, and I'm burning the midnight oil to get all these edits done so that I can have them ready for you guys. So once again, thanks, Brandon, for having me, bro.
Absolutely, man. I love it, man. Keep creating, man. Keep reaching. Never stop learning. Never stop everything. What you're doing, man, is absolutely amazing right now. So I definitely thank you for taking the time out to join me, man. It's always fun getting with you. And yeah, man, until next time, man. I don't know, man. I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna try to come. I'll be up there this year, man. I am coming back this year. I don't know when. But when I come back, man, you'll be the first person to know that I'm stepping foot in your city, man.
Appreciate you, man. And hey, I'll be back in August for my mom's birthday.
Yes.
So we got to shoot whenever I get back. When I get back to Virginia.
Absolutely. I'll have it all straight. I'll have it all set up, man. You know me, man. All you gotta do is say the word. I got people on deck. So
my man.
Definitely, man. Definitely looking forward to seeing everything else that you got coming out, man. And we'll be in touch, my brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, everybody, I want to thank you guys for joining us on a first episode of Underexposed. This is your boy, Brandon Cole, along with my guest here, Mr. Chaz Langley, man. And we'll see you guys in the next one. We out here. Peace.